Hello, my beautiful friends. Welcome to Olesya and the City. Merry Christmas Eve. As you can see, my Christmas tree is lit on. There is a little fireplace going on in the background, and I cannot believe that Christmas is just around the corner, and soon we're going to be unwrapping the presents, exchanging gifts, and spending times with our friends and family. I love holiday season, and I was actually thinking of the best format how to make this video. I came up with the idea a couple days ago, and finally I sort of put it together in my head. So here we are, and we actually will be talking about differences in holiday celebration between American culture and Eastern European culture. If you guys don't know yet, I was born and raised in Ukraine, and holidays were slightly different from the way I celebrate holidays right now, and I will walk you through between those differences. And I love to learn about different cultures, different traditions. So if you are like me, please keep watching. All right, so the first thing I want to mention is holidays itself. So Christmas is very widely celebrated in Ukraine as well. However, I think because of its history and its past, it's not the main holiday, not for example, in the United States, Christmas is definitely like a main holiday during winter season. However, back in Eastern Europe, I find that New Year's Eve is a way bigger celebration. So we used to put Christmas tree, which would be New Year's tree actually. We would put it on around, December 31st, and that's where the whole gifting and exchange of gifts happening. And also, instead of Santa Claus, we had Father Frost, and it's quite interesting because all this, even though the celebration seems pretty similar to American Christmas or internationally known Christmas for that matter, however, as I said, it was happening on New Year's, and then for the actual Christmas, so my Orthodox Christmas is happening usually on the night of January 6th to January 7th, and the Christmas day is January 7th. And it's usually a very, very family-oriented holiday. It's very private, so you only gather with the closest members of your family. I mean, in my experience, I never had like a huge family. My family is pretty tight, so we will get together, and you're supposed to make 12 meals for Christmas. It's quite a lot, but it's sort of takes it's tradition from the Bible, and you're also supposed to put an extra meal, extra plate for your dead relatives. It is believed that the spirits of our family members who passed away sort of join us for the Christmas meal, which I think is very sweet, and I actually like the tradition a lot. And it's just, I feel like where I grew up, Christmas has a very, very big like religious meaning, and also it's sort of, different comparing to what I see in the United States. Again, I think mostly because we exchanging gifts and all of that, like big holiday preparation is actually happening on New Year's Eve. Yeah, so another thing to mention that, on New Year's Eve, it's mostly celebrated with family members as well. However, especially among young people, they tend to go out a lot, so there's definitely a lot of partying going on, just like in the United States. So usually, I think what happens is that people spend before midnight with their families, and then after midnight, they have like a party going on. So that's at least what was going on when I used to live back in Ukraine. Now, moving on to the next part. So I kind of already covered gifts a little bit, but I just wanted to mention that you would normally gift everyone you know around New Year's in Eastern Europe. So you would even give, your hairdresser. And I know that some people do it in the United States as well, and in New York particularly. It sort of depends on what kind of relationship you have with people. But I think also in United States there is this culture of giving and charity donations, which not necessarily what we used to do in Eastern Europe. And um, I mean, there are obviously donation and charity, but I feel like this whole spirit of giving is way more present in the United States. I know that a lot of people volunteer with different organizations. They help elderly, they help homeless, maybe they volunteer at soup kitchen. So that's quite interesting because uh, anywhere between like Thanksgiving and Christmas, I feel like that's a magical time of the year in the United States because everyone is in this very kindest spirit, and everyone is nicer to each other. Like even today I was early in a grocery shop, and this lady let this guy to pass in line right in front of her because he was only having 2 items and she had like a full cart, which I understand, that's like a normal human thing to do. But it felt nice, and he actually commented on it. He said, wow, you're like in such a holy spirit, thank you so much for doing that. But I think it's very sweet that people take this to another level. It's a good reminder that after all we are all human beings and we try to support each other in the best way we can. And usually in United States, what I notice that people tend to give a more generous tip around the holidays. They tip their mailman, they tip their doorman if they had one. And again, anywhere like hair salons, nail salons, even restaurants, people tend to tip more because of the holidays. And also, I noticed that a lot of people here in the United States try to clean out their closets and throw away maybe old clothes, again, donated to charity, maybe some old books, some things which they don't use, which I also find very nice. I don't remember doing that living back in Ukraine. Again, I guess it's like more of a personal thing rather than a whole cultural nationwide tradition. But I really love that spirit in the United States of, again, giving and donating and volunteering. Next thing I want to talk to you about is food and drinks. So as for food and drinks, the table slightly varies, in both countries. So let's start from the US. I think that one of my favorite meals to have for Christmas would be a roasted ham. Obviously, glazed and just juicy. It smells just divine, and I love every piece of it. Also, I love mashed potatoes. I love them for Thanksgiving. I love them for Christmas. I know some people make turkey for Christmas. I am not a huge fan. Even for Thanksgiving, I kind of stop making turkey. I usually make duck or some other type of meat just because I prefer it a little bit more. However, I do understand why people make turkey for Christmas as well. And I think back in Ukraine, we didn't really have the tradition. We didn't really make ham or turkey. I think we definitely want to have like a sort of like a centerpiece meal with meat for sure. It's just the meat was different. We used to make chicken with my family, of course, not just like a boiled a roasted chicken, but like roasted in some nice things. And I think overall people in Eastern Europe try to make like something which they would never have throughout the year, some sort of a luxury item. Maybe it's gonna be some seafood, maybe it's gonna be some salmon, tuna. Again, depends on their personal preferences, but I feel like usually that's when people go out of their way and they just like try to make the best of it as much as they could. And then, as I mentioned, for Christmas, for Ukrainian Christmas, we would always make a bunch of meals. So one of traditional Christmas meals in Ukraine is called kutya, and it's a rice meal. which consists of rice. Usually it's sweet, but not necessarily. And we would put some poppy seeds, some jam, and you're gonna mix it up together. And it's just like a very nice meal. And you're supposed to start actually the whole feast with this meal. So you put a little bit of kutia on a plate and you share it with your family. It's a lovely tradition. I really miss it. I think it's just like a very delicious rice meal. And there is a big variety of salads. However, they are slightly different from American way of making salads, because the one we used to make in Ukraine, they are very heavy on mayo, and they have like a big variety of vegetables and meats and cheese, so they're very heavy. And even like after having just a little bit of it, you feel very full. So I actually don't really make those anymore, just because I want to try everything on the table. And once I have that like very heavy uh, Slavic style salad, I just gonna be so full. But that's a very interesting thing, because again, I guess that's like where the difference in cultures come. And let me just think if I'm missing anything else. Yes, I actually do miss. So for drinks, definitely Ukrainian New Year's wouldn't be an Ukrainian New Year's if there is no champagne. I feel that in the United States, champagne is also a primary choice for New Year's Eve party, but we have this tradition in Ukraine to have champagne toast at midnight, and there always have to be mandarins or tangerines. Um, so for me, I always try to have those around the holidays, because they remind me of my childhood, that smell. And I just think that they are very, they're like very bubbly and juicy. And a lot of people don't understand it, like you can have mandarin any given day. I agree with that, but to me they bring that wintry holiday mood, so I really enjoy having them on New Year's and on Christmas, like anytime around the holidays. um, and then another traditional thing for Ukrainian New Year's would be caviar, which I know it's not very common in the United States. It's sort of like a luxury item, but as I mentioned, people in Ukraine tend to go out of their way for holidays. And I remember we used to make like a toasted bread with some butter in it, and you will put caviar on top of it. That's like a traditional New Year's delicacy. All right, I think that's pretty much it in terms of food and drinks. And then um, next thing I want to talk to you about is holiday songs. So obviously there is so many great American Christmas songs or holiday songs which I love, and I love them ever since I was a child. There is of course Frank Sinatra and Bill Crosby. They are just classics, and I listen to them every year. I think one of my favorite songs would be Let It Snow. Um, what else? Yeah, I mean, there's just so many, like Jingle Bells and We Wish You a Merry Christmas. And oh God, yeah, I cannot even remember all of them now, but they constantly playing on my on the background around holidays, and everywhere you go those songs are playing, and I just love them. However, I wanted to mention something which not a lot of people know. So there is one famous Ukrainian Christmas song which is internationally known as Carol of the Bells, but a lot of people don't know that it's been written many years ago, many centuries ago, by Ukrainian composer Mykola Leontovich, and the original name of the song is Shedrick. So that's something which, again, a lot of people don't know. There is a tradition around Ukrainian Christmas. So on Christmas Eve, kids go out and something similar to American trick-or-treating, but they don't, they don't have Halloween costumes, obviously. So they go door to door around neighborhood and they carol, right? So I know that some people in the United States also love caroling. Um, And I think it's a great tradition. And usually when they carol, they sing Shedrick or Carol of the Bells, but Ukrainian version, original one. And it's just interesting. I was very surprised because, again, it's an internationally famous Christmas song, but I had no idea that it was written by a Ukrainian composer, and it's just a very beautiful, very traditional, very classical song. It always brings me chills. Also, reminds me of my childhood. Even though I don't think I ever went caroling. I grew up in a pretty big city, and we didn't really do caroling the same way in New York City. Nobody ever carols, so unfortunately, I don't really have caroling experience. But I would love to have it one day. I think it's a great tradition, especially when you do it with your family members. When you do it in a safe neighborhood where everyone sort of knows everyone, and I think I think it might be very good. All right, so I think I pretty much covered the main differences. Obviously the timelines are slightly different, and the things, the ways of celebration are slightly different. But overall, I feel like what's important is the holiday spirit. And then a lot of people ask me, do I celebrate Ukrainian Christmas or do I celebrate American Christmas? So I've been living in the United States for almost 6 years now, and ever since I moved, I wanted to be sort of accommodated in American culture. So also, every, my family members and my partner, and my friends, they obviously all celebrate Christmas, which is sort of like a Catholic Christmas, right? Or and I actually looked up, and the only reason why people in Eastern Europe don't celebrate Christmas that day is because during Soviet times there was like sort of misunderstanding in calendars, so they kind of switched to that one, and then they never switched back. But actual Christmas internationally, as you guys know, celebrate on December 25th. So I celebrate with the rest of the world, and my family understands it. However, obviously, I always wish Merry Christmas to my family in January, because I do understand that it's very important to them, and sometimes I would have two Christmases. I would actually make Ukrainian meals on January 6th, and just to sort of honor my ancestry and my roots. So I hope that you guys found this video helpful. And as I mentioned, I love holidays. I'm looking forward to Christmas, which will be happening in less than 2 days. And Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you. And I'll see you very soon in my next videos. Bye bye.